everyone out there on YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. It's been snowing here for the last about 4 days ago we got a snowstorm, and then this weekend there's been basically 2 days back to back where there's a snowstorm. So, you know, in February when it's snowing, you start thinking about the garden. So I decided to put together a video here of the plan for this year, 2025, the vegetable garden. And from some of the things I learned from last year, I am changing a few things. First off, I'm adding 2 more beds to the garden, and the middle bed that I had the Chinese water spinach in, I am going to plant perennials, flowering perennials, to help with the pollinators in the area. Now, the garden seemed to do okay last year, but I think that this would only be beneficial, so why not? So I'm going to plant some black-eyed Susan, some daisies, and these flowers that are called lupin. They kind of look like mini foxgloves, but the plant itself is kind of bushy, similar to maybe a peonies, and they have different color stalks with flowers that come up. So this is going to be dedicated as a perennial flower bed, because I still haven't gotten around to planting more flowering plants around the front of the property. It's actually a bigger project than it seems. It's a great idea, it's just getting around to it. So the middle raised bed is now going to be for wildflowers, and I added 2 more beds to make a total of 9 beds in total. So I think that's going to be pretty good. The other thing I've kind of moved away from is the square foot gardening. What I ran into is the problem with the square foot gardening is I think it's ideally meant for someone that's going to be sowing the seeds directly into the ground outside, so direct sowing. That's the whole idea about the grid template that you use with the hole spacing, and depending on the vegetable or whatever you're growing, the amount of seeds you can get in that square foot. I don't plant directly outside, just in general. I start my seeds off inside, and then I plant out when all the chances of frost for the season have gone by and the plants will survive outside. That's when I plant out. I think I get better results doing that. The plants are not bothered by pests and disease inside as they're growing under the grow lights or whatever. So I have less chance of dealing with issues like I did last year with the flea beetles, which was horrible. So when the seedlings do get planted out, they're at a more mature level, and they're a little bit more hardy to attacks from pests and stuff like that. We will see this year, but I'm pretty sure that unless I decide to switch over to just sowing everything directly outside, I'm better off not doing the square foot gardening and just planting individual plants and space them out according to what they should be spaced out, instead of trying to direct sow and plant as much vegetables or whatever as I can in like a square foot setting. So as such, that's why the layout looks a little bit different, but very similar to the way I was laying out when I first started doing this in my other house. So a wide variety of stuff this year. Broccoli, celery, carrots, of course. This is listed as spinach, but most likely it's going to be some kind of Asian vegetable. The garden planner doesn't really have an icon or anything or a plant example for Asian vegetables. So what I was looking to do was choice some this year and some of the Chinese water spinach from last year, because that did really well. I just found that the middle section that I was growing the Chinese water spinach, I think this was too much, even for myself and my neighbors, which we were cutting it and using it. I think it was too much. So half a bed of the Chinese greens should be fine. So that's what we're going to do with that. Cucumbers, because they did really well. This year, I'm going to try again to plant okra. I'm using a variety that's known to do better in the northern climates here in Canada as compared to, like, you know, the south where it's typical and native. I got a certain variety from Vessie's that are supposed to be good for northern climates, so I'm going to try that again. The tomatoes, I am not going to plant as much as I did last time. I think last time I had it down here and I had four plants of the big variety, and I think 3 or 4 plants of like the cherry variety. And I think part of the reason that I started to get that issue with blight with them is that I think that there wasn't enough airflow because it was too just jam-packed. So, and because I did crop rotation, so I didn't want to take a chance and plant them here again, so I moved them up here. So I'm doing 3 varieties up top, 3 of the large varieties. Probably a yellow variety called Lemon Boy, and 2 other ones which are supposed to be pretty good and disease resistant. They're called Mountain something. I will list the varieties in a pop-up. So that's what I'm doing there. Snow peas, lettuce. Same thing I ran into with the chilies last year. I think I tried to do too many in the one spot, so instead of 4, I'm just doing 3 this year. So 3 sweet peppers, an orange variety, a yellow variety, and I think one that's called Fat and Sassy, if I still have those seeds, but we'll see. And 3 different chili varieties. So a jalapeno, the Hungarian wax, which are really good. I really enjoyed those. And either cayenne peppers or the Jamaican Scotch bonnet again. I'll see what I have going on. And down here, I have 2 of the cherry varieties, snow peas again, and more lettuce. If we have the lettuce, we tend to go through it. And this is not the same iceberg lettuce. I have I got a romaine lettuce seed this time, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm being sensible. I'm only growing 1 cantaloupe plant and 1 watermelon plant, because last time that was a hot mess in these 2 beds. Got too excited, put four watermelon, 4 cantaloupe, and it was just overrun, and there were too many vines to keep track of, so I'm going to keep it simple. A couple yellow zucchinis. I'm going to try to do onions. Never done onions before, but we'll see what happens. And these are like regular bulb onions, not the spring onions. So we're going to see what happens with that. And some beets. Eggplant, of course. And we're going to try to do the potatoes again. So I'm going to do sweet potatoes and regular like russet or baking potatoes. So we'll see how that goes. I might have to add a trellis on these 2 beds, but we'll see what happens as it goes along. Hopefully I'll be able to do that, and they might be a permanent structure over these 2 beds, because almost every year I think every single year I've grown snow peas, and I've always had to try to jerry rig something together to give them someplace to climb and go. So having trellises here and potentially adding trellises to a couple other beds would be beneficial. So that is good to go. One other thing I'm toying with, we'll see what happens, but I'm not too sure. I'm just going to switch plans here. If I can, hold on, bear with me. I am going to try to do a herb garden in the backyard. So this is we have a raised patio in the back. So this is the house along this side, and this is facing south. So this whole exposure gets full sun all summer long. Right now, at the edge of the raised patio, there's a 2-foot space with a whole bunch of gravel filled in there. And I don't know what, if anything, the previous homeowners had in here. I don't think they had anything in there, but I'm going to try to build up this area and make these into 2 very long herb gardens. So the spring onions that I normally would be growing in the front would now be growing in the back. So yeah, we're going to see what happens. This is just a pathway to the back of the lot where my workshop and storage shed and garden shed are. There's a pine tree right here, so it's not exactly to scale, but you get the idea. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So things I have planned: lemongrass, rosemary. Is that rosemary? Nope, that's thyme. This is rosemary. Yeah. Basil. What's this? Oregano, mint. I'm going to encase the mint. I know the horror stories of mint. It spreads like crazy. So if I don't divide and put a physical barrier in this block section, I'll just put it in a large container or something. So that's how I'm going to contain the mint. I also have dill, cilantro, and spring onions. And basically, I'm mirroring this bed over here. So it's the same things, just mirrored and duplicated from here to over here. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting. This is about 20 feet, and it's about 2.5 feet wide. Very similar width dimensions as I had in the other house. So I'm kind of familiar to grow in these narrow locations, but hopefully we'll see how it goes. I did try growing like some strawberries and stuff in the hanging baskets in the back, but because of my area, the amount of birds and stuff I had from the kitchen, I was literally watching as like blue jays and robins would come down, pick the strawberries and fly away. So, and that's kind of why I shied away from doing. I still really want to, but it's going to be kind of a hassle. Maybe I will in a few years. I'll change my mind, but I kind of shied away from doing the raspberries. So in the other plan where I was going to grow, where I am growing the perennials, at one point I was going to plant raspberries in here, which would be awesome. But with the way the birds are in the area, I would have to have it under netting all the time, and then have to peel away the netting anytime I want to harvest raspberries, and that's my sentiment about the whole thing. So, but I say this a lot, and then, you know, in time I think about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it anyways. But right now, I think the garden in general will more benefit from a central perennial flower bed. And over time, when I get around to doing the landscaping I plan on doing in the front, maybe I won't need this anymore, because I'll have these perennials in other locations that will also attract in the the pollinators, the bees, the hoverflies, and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. Still would like to do some kind of irrigation, but we'll see how that goes. That's a matter of time and money. Still have the good old garden hose, so it's not to say the plants won't get water. I'm just trying to make things more efficient, and if I can, automate as much as possible. So we'll see where that goes. But anyways, that is the plan for 2025 for the front yard and maybe the backyard. We'll see if that works out. But yeah, that's the plan. Hope you guys have a great weekend. For all y'all that's in the Toronto, Canada and GTA area, hope you managed to dig out from all the snow we've been having. But yeah, have a great week, and I will talk to you guys later.